Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. Atewala Oluoguni, popularly known as Skuki. Bishao. He is a relationship coach, and I would ask this question first. Some say former Afrobeats musician, some say retired Afrobeats musician, some say before, not be today. Well, he's been there, done that, and he has an online series, of course, called Relationship Codes, where he discusses life and relationship topics from a gender-neutral point of view. He also has an Amazon best-selling book titled Make Him Worship You. Whoa, I'm a worshiper. What kind of worship are we talking about here? And he currently holds a record for the highest downloaded relationship ebook in Nigeria. Number one relationship coach. Yes, you know, what keeps my mind is the first question I want to ask is how do you pivot? How do you switch careers? Because you know, get to a point in your life where you think about it, what I've been doing, is this what I want to continually do? Or is it as relevant as this was before? And there's that thing, and you feel, at times you feel like it's too late. Yeah. That's where there's a battle and all of that. Honestly. How do you overcome that kind of...
Man, it was a tough period for me, you know, switching in between. But I think because my mom was a relationship coach, so this is what I've seen all my life, right? So I was always, I'm the last child, so I was always hanging around with her and everything. So I think it had always been there, but music also came, and I did music with my brother, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I was always going back to this. So I had a couple of friends who always encouraged me, like, these things you see, why don't you just take it online? But I couldn't marry the two together, like, from singing Pishan to now talking about, you know, I'm like, is the acceptance going to come, you know? And of course, you know, normally when you start something new, the people are like, what's this one doing? I don't understand. She music no sell again, you know, that kind of thing. They came hard for me. But I started saying it, and then my community started finding me. Some people are like, oh, I like what he said. I like his perspective. I like the way he's, you know, and then from there. And so there was a time I had to just be daring and just proceed. But I knew what I was saying was in depth. You know? It was in depth.
So somebody else out there who's having challenges, sometimes they don't even know what to do. And they feel like it's time for me to move on to something else. And they feel it's too late. Maybe they're 40, 50, and they feel like it's too late. What can you tell such a person? What do they need to do?
I think our mind plays tricks on us more than we realize. Okay. Our thinking mind can only work with what has already occurred. Okay. But your creative mind can bring in new things. You know. So don't necessarily pay attention to the facts. See, in creativity, right, you can ignore the facts because your desire, your push, your drive can create a whole new set of facts or rearrange things. Okay. So we've seen people go against the norm and then they create something magical. In short, anything magical is always going against the norm. You know? So I think for those kind of people, they need to, their first battle between them and them, you know, quiet down that noise and just do it. Because it's only later on you now look back and be like, I should have done it,
Just do it. I like that. That's a word that you can take away. Just do it. So we're talking, does marriage really work? Or is marriage still worth it?
Is marriage still worth it?
Yeah, is marriage still worth it? And the question also that we're talking about here is, looking at the male and the female, that what do they really want? That's talking about what do men and women really want. So, in this day and age of wokeness, I think that's the thing here. There's that wokeness and all of that. I remember someone asked a question. I said, why would marriage to this person give an advantage in whatever? Like, is there anything that marriage will exclusively give me with this person that I cannot get? And it was a very honest question. You know, and I saw different answers and all of that. But you're here, and that's a wonderful way to start. They should throw it to you.
So I think we are a unique generation. So by generation, I'm talking about the millennials and the Gen Zs, right? Who are the people in the marriageable age right now. I think we are very schooled. We've gone to school a lot, and we did not realize that there's more to life than what school is teaching us. You know, there's more to life than what school is teaching us. We're taught academic intelligence and other things, but emotional intelligence we're not taught in school. And marriage is basically for the purpose of evolution to continue, because if our ancestors didn't get it right, we won't be here. And I think the best way to raise a young human being is with mother and father. Masculine and feminine energy in the same, in the same box, you know, that's the family unit. And they now give the values you want to give to that child before they turn 18 and go into the world. But now, with our wokeness, we're disrupting the whole flow of things. And I don't know, I don't think it's going to land us in a very good place. We thought we had freedom of expression, just like when social media came. We thought oh, our generation, we're more expressive. But look at social media, actually. People hide. Somebody can really be going through so much pain.
Oh, yes.
But because you are seeing them posting, you're like, this one is just enjoying life.
Oh,
but
yes.
Exactly. So we need to go back to the old way of doing things. Our over-sabi is not leading us in the right direction. So marriage, yes, is still very much worth it. I speak to a lot of 55-year-old, 60-year-old people, and I realize that life is a big party when you're 35, 40, now you get hot. But when you're not getting to 50, what you want in life really starts to change, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like when you are when you're a young human being at 8, 9 years old, the toys you want to play with is different from when you now turn to a teenager.
True.
You know, I remember when I was young, I just wanted a bicycle when I was like 9 years old. Then when I turned to like 15, I wanted to start driving, you know, and they were like, you're too young to drive, you know. So life will always hand you different desires. And it's like you have to prepare for the desire you have at 50 when you are 40. You know, because by the time you now get to 50, you now realize that, oh, I want this, but then you should have done the work 10 years ago. So a lot of people, they think, no, I don't need this, or I don't want this, or I just want my peace, I just want my peace. But then when you get to 55, you're like, I want a companion so bad. You know, I want it so bad. Like, what's the meaning of life exactly? Because a lot of my friends are 50 and above. A lot of them are 50 and I see the ones who just didn't take care of that side. So we need to do a lot of emotional work and realize that, yes, it's not beans, because marriage is not designed for happiness. Marriage is not designed for happiness.
Well, you need to shout this thing out to a lot of people who are about entering or who are in the early stages.
Honestly, marriage is not, you don't go into marriage because you want to be happy. You go into marriage because you want to play your part in this whole human thing, you know, multiply and fill the earth. Now, it doesn't mean you should not be happy or try to make it happy, but to just think that happiness is just going to land on your head inside it, no, because life will throw you lemons. Bitter lemons like never before, but you can't make lemonade out of it. So if you don't get into the act of learning how to make lemonade out of it and you complain about everything, then you're going like, oh, this is not working.
From what you're saying now, companionship is something very strong, because in your later years, you'd want companionship that is committed to you.
Exactly.
Not just companionship benefits, companionship. Surface
yeah.
level. And that is what you might miss if you did not do it a little bit earlier than the 50s. Because I was thinking, okay, those 50s now, can those 50s come together and just do something?
You know, so they do. I mean, there's even a program I was watching on TV once, and Later Lovers or something. They do come together, but it's a whole different world entirely. Besides, wouldn't you want to be 50 and have somebody that you've been through the ups and downs together and you mastered each other than two different people? It still works, so it's not like it's hopeless. Yeah. But it gets harder. It's like trying to hustle.
You're very right.
It's like trying to hustle, you know, make I do this business, make I do this business. When you're 20, you can still do. When you're 30, you can still do. But by the time you're 50, make I do this business, you start to now, you know, your options are now like shrinking. So
very true.
We have to do the work now.
Someone once said that, and the older we get, the harder it is to change.
That is
so you have two people who are steady, who are in their ways.
Experiences and traumas
there's this, and this is of no fault of hers. There's this single mom I know. In fact, the kids are now grown. So I don't want to say single mom again, because when the kids are grown, you're not momming anybody. She's now on her own and all that. But of course, it was a very unfortunate situation where she's now divorced. But now she finds it so hard to get somebody to the standard because of the trauma of what she went through.
Exactly.
In that kind of situation. That is it. You understand? There's that trauma. And so she says something. This thing was there in that person. So before, the flag is still not even purely red. She said it's even pink. Anything that's blue. You've already, because you saw this at the beginning with that person. What can people like that? She's 55 now, almost 60. What can people like that in that particular situation, what can they do?
I mean, people like that have to just try. The thing is, the work that we don't want to do emotionally, we'll still have to do it eventually. That's what I see when I speak to older people. So if you see a person, it could be a man, it could be a woman, right? Maybe they have an attitude that they should work on, but when they get to a relationship where they are demanded to change, they just turn it off and fly off to the next relationship. Eventually, if they really want to settle down and really be with somebody, then they need to work on that thing, you know? So at the end of the day, the arrow still points back to you, you know? So that kind of lady, she should just learn not to superimpose what she has experienced, but this is hard.
Because she's looking for perfection. But you said it, and you are not going to see that.
No, you're not.
Never.
You're not going to see perfection. No, you're not going to see
That's an absolute, you're not going to see it.
Sometimes people are just trying to change the other human being in unrealistic ways. I mean, if 30% of a person is compatible with you, I think you'll be a happy couple. honestly. But sometimes people just want to change what doesn't even need to change. Sometimes people are trying to change something in their partner because society or their friends would want, you know? Yeah, so, but it's only when you get to later years you start to realize that, wait, what was all that drama about? So if people can realize that, and I think this is what older generations before us got, they kind of understood life quite early, you know? Fine, it made them get too serious. Maybe they missed out on some freedom of expression that we have, but you don't want to have too much of freedom of expression because from millennials to Gen Zs, we're like extending teenage years. People are 45 and are still acting like teenagers, you know? And yeah, the Times allow it, but the Times doesn't care about where you fall. The Times is just doing what it's doing, you know? Pop culture, everything is doing what it's doing. So at the end of the day, you have to look at yourself like, okay, let me arrange myself.
Yeah. All right, apart from companionship, especially in later years, what do men and women individually, what do you think they want? For guys like us, apart companionship is, I think that's a given.
Yeah.
Is there any other thing that you think that you might want that would make someone want to say, let's get married or let's be married?
So let me start with women. So I think women want the opposite of what they've been telling us they want in the last 30 years. I think with feminism, they confused everybody. Feminism has wrecked the mentality of women and has completely confused men also. We think feminism affected women alone, but it actually also feminized men. Because men have been sold the idea that they were equal. When gender equality was what they were telling us they were preaching, but gender uniformity was what they were really pushing. Like, they were trying to convince us that we are the same. So you had a lot of grown women, 30, 35, thinking that they are the same with the guy they are romantically involved with. They don't understand why he's thinking the way he's thinking. How is he not going to think the way he's a man?
It's supposed to be complementary.
Exactly.
It's supposed to complement, so that means you're different.
Exactly. Look at our reproductive organs, male, female. That's how you create life. That's how you create life, you know?
Exactly.
That's how you create life, biology, basic biology. So women have been told that they're the same, that we are not equal. And I'm sad, and I'm heartbroken when I see even some people come on and say, oh, equal. No, we're not equal. We're not equal does not mean I'm saying somebody is below somebody or anything. The conversation does not even need to go there at all if we're talking about creating a family unit. And think about it. Women don't want to be equal. Ask any woman, what do you want to be? Do you want a man that's shorter than you? They'll say no. Do you want a man that's taller than them? Do you want a man that's bigger than you? They'll say yes. Do you want a man that makes more money than you? They'll say yes. Do you want a man that leads and makes better decisions than you? They'll say yes. Where is equality in what they want there? They don't want equality. They want a guy who is way above them, that they can look up to and they can feel protected and provided for. And then it inspires them to submit. What do a lot of women say? They say, oh, if he leads me right, I will submit easily. They don't want equality. But we sold them this idea. Then they sold the men of that generation the idea that they're equal. So men are like, yo, why do I need to try and do so much work on myself and carry all this heavy burden when people were equal, men would go like that. And so you see men confused and arguing with their woman. You see men arguing with their woman, deliberating on her, and she's an emotional hurricane. She's an emotional thunderstorm. If your woman says 10 things, 9 of it, don't even disturb yourself on it. Yes, 9 of it is emotional. Tomorrow, she'll tell you, I never said that. I see this happen, and the men who get gray hair quick or get heart attack quickest are the ones who are trying to process or trying to logically explain everything to their woman. Like, let her just blow past. Pick out the one important thing that she says that you need to work on, that you need to, that, okay, this one, she makes sense here. Try and work that against your ego so your ego doesn't blind you and deal with it. But we've been confused. Men think the woman is thinking logically like him. So that's really what it is.
Skuki, I wish we had more time. While time is short, can you promise me that we'll come back and continue
this? We definitely should.
So that we'll have work from the men's side. We've heard from the women.
Of course.
So there will be a part 2. Skuki has given his word. He will be back. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah,
all right. Okay, we'll take a time out now. Don't go anywhere. Stay with us. We will be right back after this.